this is Lorraine. I do apologise. I messed up the sound on Mindhunter, but I know I did wrong, so I will correct it for our next episode. Happy listening.
How do we get ahead of crazy if we don't know how crazy thinks?
Hello and welcome to Show Me the Podcast, Season 3, Episode 2 on...
Mindhunter.
How long have you been waiting to do this?
I know, I was thinking about that today. I was like, oh, we get to talk about killers, serial killers. I'm not going to go into in-depth conversation about it though, don't worry.
Okay, that's all right. I don't think I
will
can take
behave. I will behave. I promise.
I have to tell you, I went to a dark place after our last episode.
I know. I'm glad to see that. I will watch Joker again, but I'm glad to see the back of thinking about it.
Yeah. Do you know what? I normally like talking about movies and stuff, but the amount of people that have come up to me and said, "So, Joker," and I'm like, you know what? I'm talked out on that movie.
Yeah.
Cool. So, have you been since the last recording?
Yeah. When did we do that? Was that 2 weeks ago?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, good. I couldn't even tell you what I've been up to. Oh, I'm going out tonight, so I'll be up to stuff later. I'm going
so watch out for Instagram.
I know, Jesus. I'm going to a Halloween party, and I'm going dressed. Yeah, Harry was supposed to come down, but she didn't because she's a traitor.
I'm not a traitor. I got.
She's not, but I'm just going to call her that. Yeah, so I'm going as Wednesday Addams, and my friend, who we always go as a couple, is going as Morticia Addams.
That's so ace. I'm so jealous of you.
What about you? What you been up to?
Sketching. It's work. Yeah. Oh, I did. I remembered something that I wanted to say in our first episode, and I forgot to. Is that when I wanted to remind people that I want to rewatch this series that I got reminded of when I was in France recently. So we were going to the Alps, and it was like dusk, and I was just getting shit scared because of this TV series, and I was just like, what the fuck are you doing? So did you ever hear of The Returned? Not the shitty American remake, but the French one.
No, I've only heard of the shitty.
Oh my god, the French one is so good. Obviously it's French language and it's with subtitles, but it's about this small town in the Alps, a mountain town, and people who have died just come back one day.
Yeah.
And it's like so creepy, and it was just so good. And yeah, we're driving through the Alps, and I was just like, oh, it looks just like this TV series. I was shitting myself, absolutely shitting myself. And I couldn't tell Alec because he'd have been like, get a grip.
No, I was like that. I remember when I did a road trip like across Texas and New Mexico and all those places up to Tennessee, and before I went, for some reason, I watched Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Wrong Turn, and The Hills Have Eyes.
You watched that before you went?
I watched that before I went, and there's some
Why
parts,
would you do that?
especially coming in Nevada, like you don't see anything for miles. And I remember we had a flat tire, and they sent us off down this little dirt road to this like abandoned, almost looking garage, where this guy comes out and he's like, like this, you know, as you were like, we need to change our tire. Yeah, exactly. And I was like, why did I do this? But yeah, so not as smart. If you're going off to do something like that, do not watch anything scary.
Yeah, no, don't do it. Yeah.
Watch Eat, Pray, Love or something.
Oh yeah,
I
watch
love that
something
film.
like that. Yeah, when I was in Bali, I kept thinking of that.
Yeah, no, I do like that.
For sure. Have you watched anything else? Have you watched anything recently?
My recommendation, because we're only allowed one now, otherwise we've gone forever, is going to be The Good Place. We started, myself and Dev started watching that recently. It's really good.
I've heard mixed things.
No, it's really good.
Like, hang on a little cotton picking minute. We tried to watch that here, you and I, at my house, and I put the first episode on, and this is a quote verbatim. You were like, what is this shit, Harry?
I don't even remember that. I must have been hungover or something. No, but I'm loving it. I'm loving it.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, so I'd
would
recommend...
I like it? Well, to be honest, the first episode I didn't really enjoy.
I think you would.
Okay.
I think because we were watching it last night, and we were like, we're just going to watch one episode, and then we ended up watching 4. I think, or 3. So yeah, I would.
Yeah, I've seen you raving about it on social.
On the social.
On the old social. Oh my god, I think I watched as well. Did you watch the rugby? You didn't watch the rugby, did you?
No.
It was great. And
I don't watch that kind of stuff.
No, I don't normally, but this is a All Blacks versus England's a big
Not the All
fucking
Saints.
thing. No, not the All Saints, like Lorraine apparently said earlier.
God.
But yeah, that was good. Yeah, so woo, nice one, England. Sorry, the All Blacks love that team too, but
Yeah, because no one expected England to win against them, did they?
no, and they were good. Well, I only watched the second half, but they were good in that too. But yeah. Anyway, yeah, sweet.
Yeah. Let's not turn this into a sports podcast, or I will be gone.
Yeah, that's about as much as I can.
So
tell
will
you,
most of our
sports.
listeners. I forgot to do it in the last episode, but when we were away, we got a couple of reviews.
Oh yeah.
So I thought I'd give them a shout out, because they're also people that do film podcasts.
Big respect.
Yeah, and so one of them was from a girl called Katie and Oti. They're in Australia, and they have a podcast called For Your Reference Podcast.
I
And
thought it says United States of America in the notes.
Oh, it does. But they live in Australia.
Oh, right, okay.
Maybe, because I didn't change that. That's Apple being a shit.
Oh.
Yeah, because the other one, they are in America. Don't trust
The
technology.
internet.
Yeah, but they said they gave us 5 stars. Thank you.
Thank you
And
very much.
I've actually listened to their podcast, and it's a good one. Oh, look at Harry with a showing the podcast mug. And they said, this is one of my favourite newly listened to podcasts. If you are looking for a podcast for an entertainment roundup with engaging hosts, this is it. I really enjoyed hearing their conversations and find myself wanting to join in, subscribe, and listen.
Yeah, man.
Listen to them, but do what they say. And the other one is, do you want to do the other one?
Sure, I'm going to attempt to say their name correctly. Is it Sade Glow or Sade Glow?
Well, I think of the singer Sade.
Yeah, that's what, yeah.
Yeah, so I'd say Sade Glow. She's got an amazing voice, by the way.
She does.
It's one
Sade
voice
Glow.
you've listened to for ages. Sorry, go on.
Yeah. Thank you, Sade Glow, if that's your name. You've given us 5 stars, and you have said, the hosts are awesome, and I really enjoy listening to them review TV and movies. I love that they do episodes on film genres and specific films. Listen today. That's right, listen
And
today.
their podcast is called Off-Screen Babble, for anyone that wants to know.
Oh, those guys.
Yeah,
Oh, sorry, I'm bad at these
it's
things.
the names, isn't it? It's the names that threw you. You only know the actual names of the podcast.
Yeah.
So yeah, thanks for that. And everybody else get on there and give us some stars and reviews and let us know what you think.
Oh shit, I forgot to say my recommendations. Under the Shadow of the Moon. Watch
Well,
that.
it kind of felt like you did when you started on about The Returned, Harry. I asked you, I said to you, I said, how have you been? And you went, when I went to France, I thought of The Return.
No, but I just remember. Do you know what? I just remember when I was in France, I was just like, I've got to fucking say this when we come back to the podcast. So I was just like, word vomit, get it out. Oh, we've got your news segment. So
Yes, we
we've
do.
made a little jingle.
Remember, dear listeners, you probably didn't hear it here first. On the record and not so hush-hush, Lorraine's movie news.
So I found out this news, and then Harry stole it and put it on Twitter.
Hang on. We need to figure out this news stuff. Right,
You
don't we?
should have looked at the notes.
I-
Yeah, that's her. Now she's doing this
I've
face where
been
she's like, yeah, you're right,
incredibly busy
Lorraine.
this week.
Yeah. But the news was about the gorgeous Keanu Reeves is apparently, but this isn't dead set, is going to be in one of the Fast and Furious 20. I don't know how many there is at this stage.
9.
There's 9.
No, there's
And
going to be 9.
There's going to be 9. That I don't watch them. I watched I think the first 2 or something. They apparently wanted him for a while, but he's very busy with John Wick 4, The Matrix 4, which also coincidentally has Carrie-Anne Moss in it and Neil Patrick Harris.
Yeah, I've heard somebody say that they reckon he could be the architect. I think they said that in Empire, and I think if that's the case, then that's cool. But yeah, I don't know. I'm really. The more I hear about it, the more I'm like, I'm not sure I need this or want it.
I will watch it. Like if Keanu pops up in Fast and Furious, I will watch that too. Yeah, so he seems to be hot right now, doesn't he? And of course, he has a new Bill and Ted coming out, which is going to be.
I'm so excited for that one.
Me too. Me too. I cannot wait to see that. And we are going to also be dedicated an entire episode to Keanu Reeves
I'm really excited for that one.
because we loved him.
We surely do.
Yeah, my next little bit of news is because I liked the first one, so that's why I'm telling you about the second one. They're releasing the Wonder Woman film trailer in December.
Are they?
Yeah, but it's not out until I think it's June 2020. I think that's what I saw.
I'm excited for that.
Yeah,
I really like the first one.
I like the first one too, and one other thing I thought I'd mention because it seems to be quite hot right now is the whole Scorsese comments that he made about Marvel. Well, now Natalie Portman has weighed in on that one, and she has said, "I think there's room for all types of cinema. There's no one way to make art. I think that Marvel films are so popular because they're really entertaining and people desire entertainment when they have had a special time after work." After dealing with their hardships in real life, which I suppose is true. Marvel films are total escapism, so that's why I personally like watching them. So I'm gonna.
Yeah, no, I agree. I'm thinking cinema changes and dialogue changes and discourse changes. It's just you've got to go it's never going to be the same, and it shouldn't be. So
no, I don't think it should either. I think it should change, but. The thing is, you can he's just made his film, The Irishman. Mm-hmm. You can still get the other films too. I think there's room for all of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just I'm going to watch The Irishman, but I'm also going to continue to watch Marvel films.
Yeah. I think it's all got a bit out of hand. I think so. It was probably a throwaway comment, and everyone's just jumped on it.
I think that's what he probably just made a comment, and everyone's blown it into something that's probably not. Yeah. So I agree.
As with most things. So.
Really? On social media? Yeah. So I guess we're gonna move it on to the main bulk of the episode, which is going to be Mindhunter. We did put some feelers out there, didn't we? Because we wanted to know what people thought.
Yep.
So a few people have come back. Sorry, you're a receipt, guys. They said they liked the first series, but haven't seen the second one yet. And I think they might want to get on that because it is good.
Yep.
We've got some off-screen babble again with some that they love the show, and it's fascinating to see the characters exploring minds of serial killers. And they like the way season 2 went into the Atlantic murders because it's such a complicated and frustrating thing that happened, which is true, but we will go on to that further on. Do you want to take Emma's?
Emma from At the Movies has said, I didn't think that series 2 was as good as the first, but that didn't stop me binge watching it. Considering the subject of the series, I was surprised that we didn't get more murderers, particularly Manson, from what was hyped before the release.
Yeah, I'm going to mention that as well.
Okay.
Matt Pegg, love it. Such a great show, although mad they didn't really expose Dennis Rader plot, bring on season 3. But they couldn't, so which I will explain later. I'll say this one, Seasicksmile. I'm not going to say what he said because me and him got into quite a conversation on Instagram. So if you want to see what we were saying, then you can go and have a wee look at that.
A wee look.
A wee look. And we also had a voicemail from a guy that Harry works with called Tom.
Yeah, I'm going to play that now.
Hi Harry, hi Lorraine, Tom Badger here. I'm a big fan of the show. A little birdie told me your next podcast was going to be on Mindhunter. Now, I'm a big fan of this show too. I've read the book and I found the story to be compelling. Discovering more about the men behind the monsters is absolutely fascinating. As are the ways the FBI in the show developed profiles on the criminals. It's very surprising. Who would have known that Volkswagen Beetles was such a hit with serial killers? Not me. Really looking forward to your reviews on Mindhunter.
There you go. Yeah, he was telling me about the whole... Well, I'll get into that later, but thanks for that, Tom.
I love his voice.
I love Tom.
I want to be friends with him.
Well, he's the one who lent you the Mindhunter book, isn't he?
I know.
Yeah, he massively rates that, so I might have to... Well, apparently it's a bit of a hard read, isn't it?
Yeah.
Lorraine, well, I've heard not from Tom, but elsewhere that it's quite disturbing. But hey, not for you, maybe. All right, then.
It's my bedtime reading.
Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god! Okay, all right. Am I going to enjoy this episode, Lorraine? Is it going to put me in a dark place again?
No.
Okay.
All the
No.
guys we're talking about are behind bars. Don't worry about it. They're all cool.
Okay.
But then there's more out there probably doing shit, but we won't go into that.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Okay. Do you want to give us a bit of a background on it then?
Yeah, so the show Mindhunter came about based on the book Mindhunter Inside the FBI Elite Serial Killer Crime Unit by John Douglas and Mark, I'm sorry, I can't pronounce his name, Olshaker? I don't know. Just to let you know before we go any further, this episode will have spoilers. But if you have an interest in true crime, you'll know who these killers are. But the way they do it, you might not know, so it will spoil it in that respect. The show gives you an insight into how the profiling of serial killers began. It's fascinating to think that these individuals had the opportunity to interview people like Edmund Kemper, Charles Manson, Jerry Brudos, and David Berkowitz. They interviewed, I think it was 36 killers, and they got to hear all these crazy, horrifying stories, the ones that you hear in the show. And while they are not the type of individuals you want to speak to, they have served a purpose in helping the FBI figure out who these people are, maybe catching them before these things happen. So profiling has spawned many shows that do use this technique, but according to John Douglas, who's the guy who wrote this, they're all bullshit. So if you watch things like Criminal Minds, that's not really how it happens.
Well, yeah. Sorry.
Okay.
I've got some thoughts on that. I was reading up on this, and there are other experts out there. For one, Professor David Cantor from the University of Liverpool, who said he doesn't reckon it should be in the factual section of the bookshop. He says that, quote, saying that speculations about the mind of a criminal have never helped a police investigation in reality.
But that's one thing I think you find, because I spoke to my brother one time about this, because he's a psychologist, and I'm like, what? It's like my sister-in-law's a nutritionist, and I'm like, what do you believe? Because you can find so many articles about anything that go against what everyone says, and I think it's down to you to probably just make your own opinion of it, because some people will believe the guy from Liverpool, some people believe this guy. Do you know what I mean? But more may lean towards him because he was there. But then you will have people like him who's like, no, that didn't happen. So yeah. I think with any topic, you will find that. The problem is nowadays there's too much out there. Yeah. There's too much information, and people go against what everyone says. And I always say that. I'm like, what am I supposed to, especially when it comes to things like nutrition, I'm like, what am I supposed to believe is good and what is bad? Because you're saying good, you're saying bad. And I think that's the same with this.
Yeah. I don't know what my thoughts are on it, to be honest. So.
Well, I don't know much about the other guy, so I've heard of him, but I can't have an opinion on what he said. But I do feel like this is legit in a up to a certain level. I don't think that obviously while they've done this, there has still been serial killers out there, so it's not like they've saved the world from serial killers. Yeah. But no, I do think that they got some insight, because they come up with certain things from researching and talking to these guys. They learned things. So some of it is, I believe is true. Probably some of it has been made up to make the story seem a bit more interesting. But you get that with most of them.
I'd be really interested. Well, you've been to live talks, haven't you? But I'd be really interested to. Because that's like, I'm not interested in the serial killer thing, like death and murder and stuff. It's not massively my interest, but if you know what I mean. But yeah. I understand the intrigue in say profiling, air quotes, and then forensic investigation, because I think it is intriguing that they do it in one of the shows. I think perhaps in the first one of this Mindhunter show. And they're like in a made up room. They're like, look at this room and get a sense of how this happened from little clues. And I think that's really interesting. And I can see why trying to figure out someone's psychology that way as well is intriguing. But it's the balance. I sometimes think there's an imbalance, not so much in this show actually, but an imbalance in these kind of this genre for the horrific gore aspect, whereas it's the other side of the coin, the why they did it, the how, and the what for, that is definitely interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think with a lot of stuff these days, there's perhaps too much of the other stuff. Not so much in this though. Yeah, I that's one thing I really liked about it, is that
You didn't see it.
you didn't see it, and that that in a way that made it more effective, because you hear these guys telling you what they did, and it's almost more horrific because you're not given the visual of it. You're left to your imagination, and it's just like, fuck.
Well, that's the thing. That's one thing I liked. I don't need to see what they did. I know what they did. I don't need to see it. And like you said, you can, come up with your own imagination of what it was, So I think they were really good in that they didn't show it, because they didn't need to, But like things like what you just said there about how they set up a room and they'd walk into a room, and show things. But, that actually is something that they do use, because, you can walk into a room and you can determine what type of killer that person is. Are they organized? Are they disorganized? And, that in itself can help you identify not who the person is, but what kind of person they are. So these things do give you an insight of what you're looking for. And when they talk to people like some of these serial killers, there was a big common interest with the mother. They all had like these really horrible moms who did really horrible things to them. So, that's something you could look at. So there were things. I don't think it's going to solve the problem. Of course it's not. But I think there are things that these guys gave will help.
Didn't that Douglas dude and the other guy, Shaker?
Yeah.
Yeah, didn't they come up with that idea of the something triangle? Shit, what's it called?
What, the three things that...
Yeah, it's called it's like something triangle. I wanted to have that knowledge for you, and I forgot it.
I can't remember the name of it either, so worry about it.
What? I thought you would. But yeah, it's what you were saying in the Joker episode. The
three things, yeah. So basically, I can't remember the name of the thing, but yeah, basically fires, wetting the bed, and killing dogs. Not killing dogs, killing animals, like torture. So
these guys coined that, didn't they? They were like, that's...
Yeah, that was a common... Because that's one thing a lot of people look for with them. They don't talk about so much the fires and the peeing. They talk about the killing of the torturing of animals. That's really common.
I think it's a big fucking clue that's
yeah, but just because someone doesn't mean that they're going to be a serial killer.
No.
But you might want to do something about it if they are doing stuff like that. That's not good, especially children.
Address it.
Definitely address it. So actually, what did you think of it? Because how much of it did you actually watch?
I've watched 4.5 episodes of season 1. So
how did you? Because for me, when I watched it and like Edmund Kemper first came in, like I was kind of confused by him, because he's so like you just, it doesn't match him, if you know what I mean. Like when you watch Richard Speck come in, he's an absolute asshole. He's all like, fuck you and all this kind of shit. Whereas... Is
he the guy who drinks the can of Coke or whatever it is?
Oh, no. Did he have the Coke? No. This, I don't think you've seen Speck if you only went to 4.
Okay.
4.5, yeah. No, this guy, he was quite aggressive, whereas Edmund comes in and he's actually nice.
Well, my first thought was, shit, that's Hazel from the Umbrella Academy. So that was what I thought there. And then I was just like, and then once I actually sort of got into it and he like, I started to focus on the actual character. Yeah, I was like, gosh, this is strange. That was literally my thought. I was just like, he isn't... I thought their dialogue was really intriguing, because I was just like, they're talking, like, especially when Holden's girlfriends just like talk to him like this, and then he goes in that, and they're eating like sandwiches together, and he's talking about like, and I was just like, I just found it really odd.
But that's the way, like if you watch any footage of Kemper, that's how he talks. That's exactly how he comes across. It's not like a direct like imitation of him, but that is how he comes across. And like Kemper gave himself up. He didn't get caught.
Oh right.
Yeah, he was apparently he's an IQ of like 145, and he's like 6'9", and apparently because all the cops loved him before this happened. He was friends with them. He was going in and chatting to them, and they were giving him information because they just didn't think it was him because he was Big Ed, you know. Yeah. And like, you know, when he got his killers, he'd have a little trick. He'd like look at his watch and that be like as if he was in a hurry. Like he knew what he was doing. He was a very organized, intellectual man. But apparently, I just thought this was quite funny. Like, you know, when they caught him, not when they caught him, when he called up, he says, I'm at a telephone box, and out walks this guy out of a telephone box, and he puts his hands on top of the telephone box while he's waiting to be taken. And like everyone's like kind of shitting themselves a little bit, because like if he starts, you know, he's a big lad, but apparently he just went off with them all calm, and like even in prison today, he's really liked by everyone and gets on well, and no one's got any complaints about him. It's just really weird. And then he does all these, I'm not going to go into detail of what he does.
Horrible.
Because the funny thing is like, while some of the other killers, you know, they do horrific things, to me he's actually one of the worst of what he does, but yet he's actually one of the nicest to actually watch, because it doesn't match, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I found it almost unbelievable at first, and then I was just like, he's based on this real guy, so they're not. And I couldn't see David Fincher making, fantasizing it too much. Do you know what I mean? Like
it's
say
not.
That's yeah.
No, it's weird. It's confusing, but I do like some little tricks they do, because like a lot of serial killers, they like to be in control. Did you notice that when kind of Kemper gets interrupted, the way he stops and looks at Holden, like he wants to be in control all the time. That's one thing that I think they did very well in this show, is the way that Kemper kind of was trying to control every aspect of that scene. And as soon as he wasn't getting what he wanted, like his eyes, it was just,
it made it definitely. That's where the tenseness came into each scene, isn't it? With those, yeah. What did you think of Jonathan Groff? It's Jonathan Groff, isn't it? Well, in this role.
When I first heard it was him, because when I think of him, I'm like, that's Olaf from Frozen, and not Olaf, sorry, that's Kristoff from Frozen, and that would have been interesting, Josh Gad, Glee is this big Broadway star, so I was a bit kind of, I think he is brilliant in it. I think he's so good. I think he does really well.
He's very good in it, and like you see him in interviews and stuff, and he's so completely, he's so lovely and completely different.
He's almost giddy.
Yeah. But he's creepy in this.
Yeah,
his eyes are like glazed over. It's really, and it makes. I mean, I don't know what happens in the rest of the season. You might be able to tell me this again. Spoilers for anyone. But does he? It's almost like, I don't know. Sometimes I empathise. I think this is what the show's getting at. Sometimes I empathise with him for wanting to not necessarily empathise with the killers, but he knows that he feels that there's a different way to get at them. And then like those scenes where like say he's with the other policeman and he's just like, and they're all like congratulating him and tense on getting the dog killer guy or whatever. And he goes, yeah, we really need to get into the darkness of people, blah, blah. And they all go silent because they're like, you took it too far. And I was just like, mate, I've been there. I've said stupid things like, not like that. But you when you're trying to be really sort of pure in thought and you want other people to understand you, he's a lot like that, I think. And that's what the show is getting at with trying to get to the psychology of the killers as well. And I just think that's clever how they do that through him.
Well, with Ford, like, because someone actually put that they thought maybe he was on the spectrum of Asperger's because of the way he is. But when you watch John Douglas in interviews, that he doesn't come across like that at all. But he, what was I going to say? My mind has gone completely blank. Oh yeah, like there's an episode in season 2, I think it is, when after a young girl is murdered, and he's trying basically to get this guy to fess up. And he says some truly disgusting things to this guy to get him on board. Right. That girl, she must have looked like this and looked like that and stuff like that. And you can see the policeman is like looking and going, what the hell, like. But the thing is, with what I liked about him, Douglas as well, is it wasn't about him. It was about, he would obviously he wanted to do this, so in that sense it was about him, but he was willing to say and do and treat these guys whatever way he needed to treat them to get the information that he wanted. So like, did he want to sit there and become buddy with Kemper, which it almost looks like they became friends, so to speak.
Yeah.
I think he enjoyed that he was talking to this guy, but he did what he had to do to get the information.
I wonder though, and this, I didn't read this anywhere, this is my own thought, and you might think I'm way off base, but have you ever read Catcher in the Rye?
No.
By J.D. Okay, so it's years ago that I read it, but I know that it's got so the shooting of John Lennon apparently was connected to that book in some way, and I wonder if they called him Holden because of Holden Caulfield in that, because Holden Caulfield is like this disturbed character, and he's, you know, got a bit of a broken skew on things, and I just wonder if that's why they called him Holden, to make you think perhaps he's not quite of sound mind himself. I just thought it was clever if that's the case.
Yeah.
But...
No, I don't think they are. I don't think any of them are of sound mind.
No, well,
I don't think you have to. You can be to do that type of.
No, you have to. Yeah, you have to be a certain type of,
you know?
a certain type of person, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But what did you think of? Oh, so did you see Brudos? Would you have seen Jerry Brudos? The shoe guy.
No, I don't think so.
Oh, did you not see that? No.
Can I be really honest?
Yeah.
And you're going to hate me now.
Did you watch any of it?
No, of course I did. I did watch it. I found it boring, so my attention waned quite a bit.
That's fine, because this came out in 2017, and everyone was like, "Lorraine, you need to watch this." And I tried to watch the first episode, and it was so...
Oh, that first episode's
hard
going to get through.
And I watched about 10 minutes of it, and I remember turning off, and I was like, "Oh, this is what it is." But when you watch the first, well, actually all the way through, but you know the colours in this, they're the very, very 70s, the brown, the greens, you know, all very depressing colours. And I think when I put it on that first time, I was like, you know, this is way too dull for me today. I don't want this. And I was listening to an interview with Douglas, and he was talking about Jonathan Demme coming to see him when he was doing Silence of the Lambs. And, you know, Jonathan Demme was apparently, you know, walking into the FBI thinking, where's this office? You know, nice views and all this kind of shit. And Douglas brings him 60 feet underground to the 60 feet underground. That's where their offices are, to the depressing sights that we see in, you know, because I don't think have they gone underground by that episode. Had they moved offices? I don't think. Have they moved offices?
No, I don't think so.
All right, so basically, when they start getting given the green light to kind of pursue this in like after hours, so to speak, and then they get like, you know, here's the money, you can do this type thing. They get stuck in these offices downstairs, and they're like these most depressing, same thing, the greens and the dulls and the browns and all this kind of stuff. And he took Jonathan Demme down there when he wanted to film Silence of the Lambs, because obviously he wanted some insight into the FBI. And I found the setting of this quite hard to take. So I had to put my focus on the content, because I find stuff like that quite dark. I find that quite hard to watch sometimes.
Oh my god, I'm completely different. That is the only, not the only, but one of the.
See, you're dark, Harry. You're dark.
No, let me finish. No, it's like it's one of the few things that I could really embrace about this, and that's the production of it, the making of it, and like the style of it. I was just like, ooh, yeah, ooh, they're doing that, and that, if anything, actually distracted me from the actual content a lot. Sorry.
No, but why you watch something is, you know, what you take from it is up to you, you know. Whereas with this, I was more interested in the content.
I have to say, one of the reasons I wanted to watch it was because my friend Tara, she's been raving about it as well.
Yeah.
And she showed me, and she kept going on about how authentic it is, and she was just like, oh, they've got these computers and they've got all this stuff, and then a couple of days later, she watched this video, I think I sent it you, about how the VFX guys put that in, and she was just like, oh, well, that's incredible, but and I I was just like, ooh, that's interesting, and I was bowled over by like the VFX stuff, and so that's why I was watching it to see, and one of the things that like shocked me when I looked, because I watched a really good video, I'll put it in the show notes, by Adobe Creative Cloud, which is what the post-production team are using to edit it. So one thing about Fincher is he is really pedantic and not pedantic, he's meticulous. And so he will get them to do scenes over and over and over again from different angles and all that sort of stuff, or like just to get better, you know, versions of it. So in post, sometimes you're watching a scene, right, and say someone's in the foreground and they're talking to someone in the background, but in post what they've done is mask bits of those scenes and from different scenes and put them together to make one. I just think that's so much work must go into that. So that's what makes me think this is pretty fucking cool. So I'm just like, what? It's just like the effort that goes into making it as well. So good.
Yeah, no, I agree. But I just find the colours a bit, and that's why I turned off the first episode when I first started watching.
Okay. No, I liked it. I was just like, yeah, so Fincher style, because he's really into that kind of.
But I like Fincher, so it's weird. Stuff that I think what it is stuff like this with that kind of way, the way it's kind of shot. I have to be in the mood to watch. So films like Seven and Fight Club and stuff like that. Yeah, I love them, but I'd have to, you know, be in the mood to watch them, if you know what I mean. But yeah, it's weird, isn't it, how we look at things so completely different.
That's why we work, baby.
What did you think of the relationship between Bill and Ford?
I like it.
Yeah, it's like...
Sorry.
I like it.
I like it.
I feel like... Go on.
It's completely not related, but Holt McElhenney, is that how you say his name?
Yeah.
Have you heard him in like French interviews?
No.
He's fluent in French. He went to Oxford University and I think he studied French there, and he was on this French talk show, and Jonathan Groff is just sat there going, like, he's got a face on him like, I don't know what the fuck's being said. And Tench is obviously really enjoying being able to embrace being speaking French. And he is just so fluent, and it just sounds amazing.
I'm gonna have to look at that.
Yeah. But I like Tench. I think he's my favourite out of the two.
I think he kind of keeps a bit of a leash on it's like it's almost like a father-son relationship, like, you know. Yeah. And he's kind of the practical. He kind of acts the way you should be acting in these situations, if you know what I mean. Like, sometimes, while I like the way Ford does things, sometimes I feel like he could do with being a bit more, what the fuck, I'm not talking to this guy, this guy's an asshole. But you never get that from Ford. He's always just like, it's like he's going and talking to anyone. I agree. I love his mouth as well, the way he's like, you'll not see it in the podcast, but like the way he just like purses his lips when he's thinking. I'm like, yeah. But I actually like jumped up at one point because I was just like, yes, that's what it's about, because he sums it up in one sentence. I think it's in the trailer, and he says, how can we get ahead of crazy if we don't know how crazy thinks? And I was just like, boom, right there. Exactly.
But that's him, isn't it? Like, Holden sort of doesn't quite know how to evaluate things like in a way that makes it accessible for most people, whereas Tench does. He makes it a grounded sort of scenario. So yeah, I like him. Yeah. So I guess you didn't watch season 2. No. Does that get a bit twisted with him, I've heard?
Well, season 2 is different, because in season 2 they're looking for someone. Right. They're looking for a killer. We do get to see, I think Manson's in season 2. We do get to see him. But I'll be honest with you, I was quite disappointed with the whole Manson thing.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Like, it's weird because when, like, Ford desperately wants Manson. He wants him so bad. And I think, like, Jerry Brudos and Manson are around the same time. So not many people know about Brudos because he basically got overshadowed by Manson. So I was glad that they kind of focused on him a bit in here, because he's an interesting one. But with Manson, he kind of came out. I mean, the guy did it well. I mean,
the actor.
Yeah, you could have thought it was Manson. I don't know his name, and I know he's doing something else as Manson.
Right.
But oh my god!
So no, because he was in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, wasn't he?
That's what it is. Yeah, that's what it is. But Manson was really small. I think Manson's about my height, about 5'2", 5'3", really short guy. Yeah, and that was a big thing for him. He hated being that short. So when he walks into the room, the two guys sat on the chair. He kind of walks in a bit like slowly, and then he sits on the top of the chair. So he sat on the top of the back of the chair.
I've seen shots of that.
Yeah, so he's looking down on them. And like Ford's a bit of a fanboy when it comes to this guy. It almost feels like, you know, like he's getting to meet his favorite celebrity.
Right.
Because he so wants to meet him. But they didn't. So I'm hoping that they go into him in season 3. Maybe a bit more advanced in season 3. But the guy who did it, they didn't give him enough airtime. He should have got more time on there.
Maybe they didn't feel it was
well, maybe. But I think that they should. I'd like to see more of him in. Or maybe that was the only time they talked to him. I can't remember. But it also, the focus of this, because like the others, the serial killers are already caught. But this one, it's about, I don't know if you've ever heard of it, the Atlantic child murderers.
No.
So basically, a bunch of kids, all black, from around the same neighborhood, were murdered. I think there was like 29 of them.
Oh my god.
Yeah, but because they were black, unfortunately, it took I think about 11 of them to be murdered before anyone really gave a shit.
Jesus.
No, it's absolutely disgusting. And so it's about trying to find out who this guy is. And the mothers of these children, they're kind of like the real backbone of this. They're the ones like, you know, they've got this room set up and they're trying to basically get this guy caught. And, you know, Ford and Tetch are helping out with this. But the sad thing about this is they catch the guy, but he gets 2 adults were murdered as well. He gets done for those. And to this day, no one has ever been done for these murders.
What?
To this day, yeah. Well, that's how it ended on there. So unless it's happened since then, but yeah, it's really fucked up, and it's solely because those kids were black. Nobody gave a shit. It was so bad. You're literally crying watching it.
Yeah, that's horrible.
Yeah, no, it's really bad. But that shows how different the show is because like this season because of how they were trying to.
They're shedding a light on it.
Yeah, and using what they know to get this guy, you know. But 29, it was bad. But they, like, people keep on bringing up as well, Dennis Rader, who was he in the first few episodes? Yeah, I think he was. There was a guy in Kansas. They kept going to Wichita, Kansas. Mm-hmm. Did you see that guy with glasses? Yeah. And he drove a van.
Oh yeah. He's like keeps doing odd things.
Yeah,
saying odd things. He hasn't done anything yet.
So he's Dennis Rader, who's known as BTK killer, find, torture, kill, and he would break into people's houses and stuff and murder families and all this kind of shit. But yeah, no, he's disgusting. He's absolutely disgusting. But he didn't get caught. He finished his crimes, well, as far as they know, in 1991. But he didn't get caught until February of 2005.
Oh my god!
So I don't know.
So how are they gonna?
I don't know. Maybe they're using him as a way of like they're trying to use their skills, but they don't work.
Well, maybe. Well, I've heard that Fincher wants to do 5 series of this, and maybe.
Oh, so maybe they're gonna because there's
time
a lot
hops.
of because there's so unfortunately there's so many that they could do. But this guy, but do you know how he got caught?
No.
It's really funny actually. He used to no, it is really funny. He used to because it shows how much of a fucking twat he was. He used to taunt the police and he'd send them notes and all this kind of stuff. And he wanted publicity basically. He wanted, why aren't I in the papers and all this kind of shit.
Yeah.
And so he messaged them, and they would, you know, the way they had those classifieds in newspapers that people would put like little messages in and stuff like that. So he said to the police, "Can I be traced through a floppy disk? If I can't, basically put in the classifieds that I can't, So he said, he told them what to say. But obviously they lied and they got the disc, and it reported back to this guy called Dennis who was in a church, and, through other little bits they got, that's how they caught him, because he asked, could he be traced through a floppy disk?
God, what an idiot. I
know. But, I'm not being funny. If he could, did he think they were going to say, yeah, I wouldn't do that, mate, because we're gonna catch you. But, so I'm not sure what they're going to do with him. But like you said, if you're doing 5 seasons of it, then they could bring it into 2005.
Does season 2 jump in years compared to season 1?
I think the Atlanta murders were early 80s. I think they were early 80s. I'd have to double check that though, because I can't remember off the top of my head. But like Manson and Brudos though, they were caught I think in 69. So it's more. This is more 60s, 70s. Yeah. So this kind of goes end of 70s, 80s, I think, and then they're probably going to move on to people like Bundy and oh god, who else could they go into? Berkowitz. No, they had Berkowitz, didn't they? You know who? Hansen, Robert Hansen, maybe him.
No.
He was in that film. He wasn't in that film, obviously, but the film The Frozen Ground with John Cusack. That's based on Robert Hansen. He used to basically get girls, take them out to the middle of nowhere on his plane, and then let them run off so he could hunt them down and shoot them.
Bloody hell.
Yeah, and then Gacy, you know, John Wayne Gacy.
I don't know.
Yeah, he they found about 30 blokes under his house. But yeah, so I don't know what they're gonna do. And did you see The Son? You know Bill Tetch's son.
He's on the phone at the moment, and he said his son's adopted. But
Yeah.
Tom Badger actually said that they're hinting that his son's going to be a killer or something like that.
Well, he kind of is already. He
right.
basically, him and a few friends, something happens with this young boy, like I think the boy's like 2 or 3, and you know, he's dead and he's involved with it.
Right.
But apparently this boy, Bill Tetch's son, is based on a murder of a boy in a small town back in like 1971. Him when I think a 10-year-old and a 7-year-old boy murdered this little boy. So I think he's based on that. So I knew as soon as I seen that kid, I was like, yeah, that's what's gonna happen with this kid. He's gonna be a killer. Or around.
Interesting.
No, yeah, it's quite scary, really. You know.
Do you know, when I was researching for this, I the guy who created it, Joe Penhall, I think that's how you say his name. I looked into him a bit, and he's the guy that adapted Cormac McCarthy's The Road, the film.
Oh my god.
And I was like, dude, this guy needs some lights. Like,
I could never watch that film again.
Oh, bloody hell.
No, that was too much.
But another thing as well, I had no idea that Charlize Theron was the one that got this started. She's the one that said to Fincher, you should read this, and that's where it came from.
Really?
Yeah.
God.
Which is not what you expect. I don't know. I wonder how she knows. Have they worked together on a film? I don't know.
I don't know.
But, yeah.
Because he didn't do Monster, did he?
No.
She's great in that.
She's fantastic. That is a good film. I have seen that. Yeah, and then she brought together Penhall and Fincher, and so really we have her to thank for it.
Yeah. God, I didn't know that, actually. That's quite crazy.
Look at me, knowing a bit more about Mindhunter than you. Didn't see that coming, did you?
I can send you some links of stuff you can read.
No, I'm good, thanks. Oh, yeah, no, so I will I continue watching it? I don't know.
You won't?
No, probably not.
No, you won't.
Sorry.
I can't wait until season 3. I just don't know what they're gonna do with it. I don't know who they're. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. No, I appreciate the making of it, but the content not so much.
And I think props to me. I was good, and I didn't go into too much detail of serial killers.
No, there could have been a chance, but
yeah, but I didn't. I made myself. I was like, do you know what? This isn't about this is about the show. So I'm not going to go into too much detail.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I won't sleep badly tonight.
Yeah,
so.
There's too many of them anyway. Jesus, you'd be here for hours. Do you know what I was thinking the other day? Today, actually, because you put a picture up. I think that we should do an episode of Atonement.
What?
Yeah.
What did you just say?
Yeah, because you've done this, and I know it's not your thing at all, and you know you let me talk about certain things, and I didn't go full boil. Sorry, you don't watch Brooklyn Nine-Nine. But yeah, so I says, well, why don't I do one that you know is not really my thing, and I think we should do Atonement.
I'm scared, man.
That episode may be about 5 hours long because Harry will better shut up.
That's not true. I'll need to bounce off you, so you'll have to, have to have some thoughts on it.
So I'll watch it again.
Oh wow, yeah, man, I'm stoked. That's cool. Thanks.
Yeah. You're
well,
welcome.
I'm the one who is making us do the next episode, which I think is going to be another dark one.
I know.
Euphoria.
Yeah.
So.
I know. I remember
Your face.
Oh, God. Yeah. No, but I mean, I really enjoyed it, but God, I don't. No, I was about to say I don't want Riley to become a teenager, but obviously I do want her to become a teenager. But I want her to not be that teenager.
Yeah, man. But we'll save that for the next one.
Yeah. No, definitely. Cool. Okay, so that's Mindhunter. What are we gonna do next? We are gonna talk about what we want to watch next.
What we want to watch? Where are my notes? La 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 la. What do you want to watch next, Lorraine?
Well, I'm thinking about it. I want to watch Fractured, that Netflix one, but because it's something
with Sam Worthington.
Yeah, but it's something about a kid, isn't it? And I think bad things happen, so I don't know if I want to watch it because I don't like walk dogs and stuff like that. Which
It's
I
a
know
psychological one, isn't it?
Well, then I might watch it then. I don't know. I do, but I have to psych myself up for things like that now.
It looks all right. I feel a bit sad for Sam Worthington because he was in some good stuff and he just hasn't really since he just hasn't.
I take it he's doing the new Avatar films.
Yeah, they've filmed it, haven't they?
Yeah. Okay, that's good. Yeah, no, I know what you mean. I suppose he probably thought after Avatar he would be like this big, massive. But sometimes that's what happens. You go into these things and then no.
So anything else?
Yes, there apparently is going to be a documentary coming out of interviews from Ted Bundy's girlfriend.
Oh, Jesus.
So I'm going to watch that. And also there's a documentary on Michael Hutchence that's come out that I want to watch.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, because I used to love In Excess. I mean, I still do like their music, but I did like them.
What's their song?
Yeah. Live, baby, live. Now that the day's over. New Sensation. I love that song.
New Sensation. That's
yeah.
Yeah.
They've got a few songs, but yeah, that's the one I think most people know.
Cool.
What about you? I love the way I can see Harry's notes. It just goes, "The King, Little Women."
Is there any point in me talking? Yeah, those.
Sorry, what are you going to watch, Harry?
Well, thanks for asking. The King.
Is that the one with Timothy Chalamet?
Chalamet.
That's
Timothy
nice.
Chalamet.
I wish I had a surname like that. What's your name? Lorraine Chalamet.
Yeah, that it's coming on Netflix soon. I think it's going to get a bit of a theatrical release as well. I'm not sure, but that looks really good. And I like stuff around Henry V and Shakespeare, so it's my bag. And Little Women. Oh, I can't wait to see this.
Yeah.
I absolutely loved Lady Bird, so I'm really excited to see what Greta. I can't remember her surname. That's really
Gershwig or something.
Gershwig, yeah. I wanted to say Thunberg, and I was like, that's the wrong Greta. Does with this, and yeah, I think I haven't read the book, but I've seen the other film, and I liked that as well. So and Saoirse Ronan's just fucking so good. So.
Saoirse Ronan.
But Florence Pugh's getting some Oscar talks about her performance in this, so I'm interested to see that as well.
Do you know who I saw was getting some Oscar hype? Was Adam Sandler.
What for? For this Safdie film he's doing?
I don't know what the film is. But I just saw it in passing, Adam Sandler, and then so I'm actually going to look into that because I'm like, oh, that's imagine if Adam Sandler won an Oscar.
He's meant to be really good in that Punch Drunk Love, isn't he? I haven't seen that, but
yeah. I mean, if he's great in it, then fair play to him.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
I don't like his comedy, if I'm honest. But
it got very samey.
You
know.
Yeah. Everybody loved The Waterboy, and I was like, shit.
I like that. Spin the corner. Actually, no, I do like his stuff when I think about it.
Cool. Okay. Well, I think that's a wrap.
Yeah.
Isn't it? Yeah.
I have a request. I have a request for an episode I'd like to do at some point.
Okay.
Tropic Thunder.
Oh, yeah. One we actually agree on. I fucking love that movie.
I fucking love that film. So we'll do that next year after Euphoria, Keanu.
We'll do that in January to beat the January blues. Yeah, man.
Yeah. I've seen that film so many times. It's so good. And I didn't even realise it was Tom Cruise at the start.
Oh my God, it is. Yeah, I'll save it. I'll save it for the podcast.
Player.
Okay.
I know.
Oh.
I know.
So, where can we find your content? Our content.
Our content is on Instagram and Facebook as Show Me the Podcast, and Twitter as SMTPcast. And Harry, where are you?
I'm just Tales of Pegg on Twitter and Instagram.
And I'm Lorraine Purden on Twitter and Instagram. So I as. Okay, so you
So
can...
I as.
Yeah, I know.
What's that?
I don't know. Just the way it came out. Just got to go with the flow, man.
All right.
It's my words. It's my truth. Thank you very much for listening to Show Me the Podcast. And Harry's written here, can we do an episode on Shawshank? Yes, we can.
Interactive notes right here. Oh my god, I'm so excited to do that episode then. Yeah.
What one? Shawshank.
Shawshank.
Yeah,
All
me
of them, to
too.
be
I
honest.
bloody
I'm really
love that
excited
film.
about it.
I love Shawshank. Oh.
Save it for the podcast.
Okay. All right. Thank you. You've been listening to Show Me the Podcast.
Ciao.
Bye.
And stop.